if you turn it in and he said it was not completed, fail, whatever, it'll be like it never happened for you. If you turned it in and he lost it, it'll be like it never happened. If you just didn't turn it in, it'll be like it never happened.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
So that's the homework lab, whatever, end of Carl's stuff coming into when I took the class over.
Oh, so that comes from all the labs too?
Carl's stuff.
Okay.
Carl's stuff coming into what I took over. So everybody understand that? Okay. So as far as my labs going forward, they by and large probably will also be pass-fail. I may revise that a little bit. They're going to be worth more than 3 points, I can promise you that much. I haven't decided exactly how much, probably on the order of 10, 15, 20 points, somewhere in that ballpark each. Homeworks that I'm going to assign, like the one that's due on Wednesday, will be worth probably in general neighborhood of 20 points. It's probably going to be 1 or 2 more homework assignments to come. Also worth an order of 20 points. For those of you who have already had me in the project, which most of you, not at all, I'm going to be grading it the same way as I grade that homework, which is to say there's going to be a number of things I'm looking for. It's what I've asked for in the homework. Like I asked you to find the angle between the 2 vectors, for example. Each of those things that I've asked for will be worth 1 point. And so there are 2 problems. That doesn't mean it's only worth 2 points. Because each of those problems ask for a number of things. So each thing I ask for is worth potentially 1 point. If you do correct work, you set it up correctly, and you get the correct answer, you get the 1 point. If you set it up, basically correctly, but somehow in there you screw something up, you get 2/3 of a point. Okay? If you get the correct answer, but your work is really crummy, it does exist, mind you, but it's like, it's not set up right, somehow you managed to get the correct answer, that's also worth 2/3 of a point. If you made some sort of effort, but it's like just totally wrong. I mean, you had some things that, yeah, these things are sort of matter, but this is not the correct equation, and that's certainly not the right answer, that's worth 1/3 of a point. Okay, so bad setup, bad answer, 1/3 of a point. Bad setup, good answer, 2/3, good setup, good answer, 1 point. And if you just have nothing at all, obviously that would be worth 0. I may also, if you just have an answer with no work at all, you just wrote down 26.5 with no work anywhere in sight, that may also be a 0, even if 26.5 is correct. So then you could have just come that down, I have no idea. So that's how the grading the homework works. On to the tests. Okay, so Carl gave a test, obviously. Recorded it as baseline grade or something. If I can figure out easily how to change the name of it in Moodle, I will. Call it exam 1 or something like that. But anyway, so that's what that baseline grade thing is, that test. We're going to have 2 more tests, and it's going to be best 2 out of 3. Okay? So, my intent with this is that I don't want to toss away the effort you guys put into Carl's part of the class and the grades he gave you. On the flip side, there are some grades that on that test, that I guess I'm surprised by. And I want people who have got a bad grade in that to have a chance to recover. Meaning, if you do well on my 2 tests, you can drop that one. Or, on the other hand, if you manage to do well on Carl's test, you can drop whichever one of my tests you do worse on. Okay, so nobody gets penalized by this yet.
So these 2 out of 3 tests, is there going to be a final after, or there's only going to be 3 tests?
Grand total of 3 tests, 1 of which has already occurred, and then Carl's also says. Okay?
There will be no cumulative tests.
There will be no cumulative tests. I'm certainly not going to try and test you on Carl's test. I mean, my 2 tests, the second one will probably be cumulative with the first one to some extent, but it's not going to be cumulative back with Carl's test. Okay? So does everybody get that? So it's going to be best 2 out of 3 on tests. Whichever you say, drop your lowest test score. What's going to happen? Alright, so we got Carl's homework, labs, whatever, worth 3 points on a pass-fail basis. We got my labs going forward, worth somewhere in the 10 to 20 again, it's a lot, very similar to my, like, throwing a football or launching a missile or sailing a boat type stuff. There's a lot of problems similar to that. You're integrating vectors or deriving them or what, things of that nature. Now the ones with rotary stuff going on in chapter 2, because there are ones with rotary stuff, that is not going to be on the test. I'm not going to have rotary stuff particularly on the test. It's not any sort of complication. Okay? Yeah, so it's going to be the same thing as I have for my other class. So forget that not all of you are in it. You're going to get a note sheet, which is handwritten both sides. 8.5 by 11, handwritten both sides. You can write anything you like, short of solved problems. Okay?
On the test itself, is there
You mean like how many people want type of thing?
yeah.
I'll try to give them if I forget. That's certainly I could do.
Is it smart?
I could give it to you.
Okay.
Okay. Other than something like radians to degrees, that one I'm probably going to switch it out. Kilowatts to horsepower shouldn't come up, but I would give it to you. Hey, that one, that one in this class, I would give that to you. But I'm going to switch that one to 20. So what do you test? Any questions on that? So we have tests on Monday, a week from today, a week from this very moment. I'll be sitting here being bored, and you guys will be being tortured. Yeah? Okay? Everybody's clear with that? And so for those of you who don't have that 720, my tests do tend to be torture. I don't really intend to do that way, but that does seem to be how they worked out. So make sure you're familiar. Make sure you're familiar with all the material on the homework. Okay? And as I said, chapters 1 and 2. You look through this, has all these solved problems. And especially in chapter 2, they've solved a lot of these. They've got, let's see here, 41 problems that they've fully worked out the answers to. So there's a lot of stuff. If you can't figure out what's going on, well, you can, I'll start, and that's fine. But you can also look through all these solved problems and hopefully they'll figure it out. Okay? So the test is going to have dot products, cross products. There may be some chain rule, product rule. Here we go. So, text. This is not exhaustive. I probably will again send out an email. There will be occurring to me at the moment. So, you should know how to do the product rule. For differentiation. Chain rule, same thing for differentiation. Dot product. Cross product. Be able to do that. You should be able to do vector addition. You should be able to differentiate vectors appropriately. That's what it says. Let's say take derivatives and integrals of vectors, things generally. like to have your homework in front of you while I'm going over it, which is something I would generally recommend, take a photocopy of it. I would like the original though, unless you take pretty good photocopy. Make sure they don't be handed to me as legible. So like any photocopy, that's not going to be good. Questions on that? All right. So last time we were talking about cross product, and we did one example. And I'd like to do one more this time with units. What's doing this thing do? Okay. So let's say we had two vectors, and I'm not going to try and draw them because they're in three dimensions. They're just going to be miserable. But I'm just going to write. I already have these in IJK notation. So let's say we have a vector A, which is equal to 5I minus 4J plus 7K. And this vector has units. Those units are meters. Okay? So it goes 5 over in the x direction, and then down 4, and the y is up 7 in the z, or however you want to think about that. Then we've got another vector, b, which is equal to minus 3I minus 13J plus 2K, and this has units of newtons. So this is a force. It's a force acting in that direction. All right? So we've got the distance, and we've got a force, and we are going to take the cross product of them. What this is going to give us is, unlike with the dot product, which gave us a scalar, okay? And so if we were doing a dot product between these, we would be getting Newton meters, which would be joules